Is there anything that I would change? I would say no. There's nothing that I would change. In regards to my journey, I don't have any regrets in regards to some of the mistakes, that I've made over the years. Because if you don't fall, right, how are you gonna master walking or running, right? Just like with a child. When a child first learns to walk, they crawl a little bit, they get up, they pull up on stuff, they might take a few steps, they fall down, right? The taller age, they moving back and forth. But with that child, you never see that child give up, right? It's just a human instinct for us to get back up, right? Especially being a creation from God, right? It's in our DNA for us to keep going. And a lot of the times we will allow circumstances, people, situations, distractions to define us and make us feel guilty for things that we're supposed to go through. Like, it's supposed to be this way, right? We're supposed to fall. Like, if everything was perfect, then why would we need God, right? So he designed it that way, where we're imperfect people trying to reach for perfection through him, because he makes us perfect. So I don't regret anything, because through that, through the obstacles, through the barriers, it has allowed me to gain so much wisdom, so much insight, and to be able to share it, right? Because that's why we go through stuff, to make us better, but it's not just for us. So a lot of the things that I went through has allowed me to even be up here today, sharing my story and encouraging a lot of you childcare providers that are out there. You're new to the business. Some of you are wanting to be in the business, and some of you guys have been in the business longer than me. However, everybody talks about the money. Everybody talks about the income and the success and things like that. But I wanted to talk about my failures. I wanted to talk about my shortcomings, my mistakes, right? Because when people put out this false perception that business is always great and they didn't have times where they didn't make payroll or they didn't mess up, it's false. And that's why a lot of people fail, because they get into business, and when they get to that hard season, they're comparing it to the pictures that people put out there, the stories that people put out there, and then they allow it to hit their self-esteem and make them feel like they're a failure. When in reality, it's normal. It's normal to fail. I don't know what successful business owner has not failed, right? But I want to be the one to share my story, so that way you can be encouraged. You can keep going. You can see that you're not the only one. And that most of all, you can see that you can survive through anything. I don't care. Some of the stuff, if I was to really dig in and tell you guys some of the things that I dealt with, you probably wouldn't even believe me, right? But with that, and sharing my story and encouraging, I also wanted to have a safe space, because that's another issue I saw. There's not really a safe space for CEOs to really come together and talk about stuff like the hard stuff, right? Because some of the things you face as business owners, especially childcare providers, it's not something that they particularly teach on in school, right? So with me going through this, living and breathing my childcare full-time, not part-time, full-time, for the past 16 years, I wanted to create a space where other childcare providers can come, they can talk, even provide training and support. because that's another thing. When we go through things, it's like we don't want to talk about it out of shame, out of guilt. I don't know. But it's like, if we don't talk about it, then how is others supposed to grow, right? So I want to invite you guys. I created a space where other early childhood educators can actually come and discuss and talk about like real issues that we face on a day-to-day basis. I'm pretty sure there are other providers that have went through some of the same things that I went through, and probably some things that I probably wouldn't even believe. But I created this space, so I just want to invite you all to come and join the Heaven Sent community for early childhood educators, directors and owners specifically, because it's good to have different groups, but being a CEO and having a full staff and dealing with the obstacles and the different things with the kids and the regulations, it's different. While business is a business, and some aspects are the same across the spectrum, it's just certain things that only other childcare providers can relate to. So it is a free community. So I would like to invite you all to join the Heaven Sent community. Please make sure you visit www.heavensentchildcare.org and sign up to be in our community, right? Because when it comes to the parents, our mission is to make things lighter. But even with childcare providers, my mission, or our mission rather, is to help lift the weight off of you and to be a support system. Because when you win, I win, and most of all, our children win.